Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Recruiting Roundtable. I want to thank everyone who will be showing up during this time and also watching the replay. Today is a show that I'm very excited about and a little bit nervous. I know there's been a lot of talk about this show. Today, it's going to be start of a series of interviews where I encourage and allow my candidates to review their candidate experience with me as a recruiter. So today I am joined by one of my former candidates who received the position with the company I work for, and this is Sarah. So Sarah, welcome, and thank you for joining my show today.
Hola.
So tell me a little bit about what you do, and we'll start there.
Well, for starters, I'm pretty much a laid back person. All I basically do is watch Disney. That's just my character. I'm a big kid at heart. I actually just moved here from Las Cruces, New Mexico. I was there for about 8 or 9 years, and then I finally relocated over here to Texas. So it's been a big transition.
Yeah, I'm sure. Are you enjoying living in Texas, though?
It's different. I miss my mountains without a doubt.
Oh, I know, flatland.
Oh yeah,
And for everyone, it is West Texas, so there are absolutely no
yeah.
mountains in
I
this
can't.
area.
I can't deal.
So So let's kind of start at the beginning. How did I first come in contact with you? Kind of describe that experience.
Okay, so it was over Facebook, social media. It's actually pretty funny. When he had reached out to me, I actually thought he was a catfish. I was like, oh my God, who is this person? I don't even know who he is. How does he know my name? Where did he see me? And truth be told, I was paranoid. I was scared. At my previous job, funny, my manager name last name Watson. I'm sorry. And of course, with the last names being the same, I thought it was my manager at my other store. So I got paranoid and I actually called the company that I'm working for to verify that yes, indeed, they did have a recruiter by the name of Jose Watson. After that, I think I pretty much mellowed out, but it was a very unique and different experience.
Yeah, and I will have to disclose that Sarah was one of the first individuals that I recruited using social media. And so for my end, I had saw Sarah working at her current job, and I was like, well, she has great customer service. That's who I want working with the position we had open. And so I didn't really know how to get in contact with her without, jeopardizing her current job. So I was like, everyone's on Facebook. Surely she's on Facebook. And so that's when I first set up a candidate profile, a recruiting profile to reach out to candidates. And so I inboxed her and just kind of gave her some information, thinking that, surely she would know. This is legit. I didn't mean to make it seem like a catfishing
I
thing.
didn't know it was legit. That was the funny part. I, like a creepo, was going through his Facebook and I was like, "Who is this person? Is he real?" But it was very different.
Right, right, right. Well, so has that happened before? Have you experienced that kind of thing where someone?
Oh, not at all, not at all. This was by far totally different. I didn't expect it to be on social media. Like I said, it was at first I was very leery because I didn't know if this was a legit thing until reaching out into the company that I'm working for now just to verify that all the information was correct. But before that, I was, oh my God, it was I was petrified. I was like, oh my God, I hope I do not get in trouble with my current employer.
Yeah,
Knowing me, I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, let me go over. It's not a big deal. And then yeah.
yeah. Well, I have said I've learned a few things after trying to, recruiting from Facebook, and like one thing that we had talked about earlier that you suggested I change as far as my Facebook profile.
Yes,
So
yes.
talk a little bit about kind of what you thought would be some changes you would have
I
liked to see.
I think that you should promote the company that we work for now a little bit more and just specify your type of work, etc. Because prior to me looking on your Facebook page, I did not know that it was legitimate, other than the fact that you had a profile picture or a cover photo of the company, of course.
Yeah,
But other than that, I did not know that it was legit. I thought it was like a scam or
yeah, yeah, and I can totally, absolutely see why. So so once you what was that one thing that made you say, you know what, after you verified that yes, I am a real recruiter and I work for a legitimate company, what made you go ahead and move forward with applying and moving forward with the interview?
Well, of course, with my job in the past, well, my past job, I should say, it wasn't. It was a very rough time. It was so hard to. It was a struggle. In all honesty, it was a struggle, and at that point, I was thinking, what else did I have to lose? You know what I mean? It was a struggle. So I thought, you know what, might as well. And thank God, everything turned out in my favor. Now I'm beyond happy with the position that I have, and I do see myself there for many years to come.
Well, good. I'm really glad to hear that. So with during that time, did we do pre-screenings? Was there where I called and talked to you and asked you some basic questions about
Yes,
sales? Okay. Okay.
yes.
So what was that experience like? Do you remember that?
I honestly don't. For the life of me, I don't. I do remember that there was a pre-screening, and you were. It made me laugh because you were like, I just need to make sure that you didn't do anything illegal, and I was like,
I,
no, I'm good. I swear.
I know, and that's such a newbie recruiting mistake. I have to. And, I mean,
No,
this was.
that's all I can remember, and I just remember just putting my phone on mute and laughing so hard, and I was like, what the heck did he just say?
Yeah, 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 yeah. So let me apologize now for that. You know, I I was still learning at the time. I really was. So my pre-screening skills weren't the greatest, I admit. So after that pre-screening, do you feel like I kept up some form of communication to give you an idea of where you were during
Yes,
the recruiting process?
yes, without a doubt. You did speak to me a couple times throughout that week to let me know how the process was going, and to let me know the outcome. And of course, once I got told that yes, I was accepted for the position, I was like, oh yeah, thank
Yeah,
God, this was not a catfish.
yeah, yeah, really, yeah, really. Score one for you. So when I describe the position to you, do what I described to you, did that reflect what you actually do now in the same
Yes,
in that position?
yes, yes. At my previous job, I was an appliance associate, and now I do work the same line of work. Of course, I am still a specialist. Um, so everything did work out in my favor.
Great. And that's one of my biggest issues that sometimes what we recruiters will tell candidates is we give you that, we just want to get you to apply because we know we want you. So we'll give you that job description and simply depend on the job description to be everything. And sometimes when you
Yeah,
start the job, it's really not the same. And I think by the time I got to recruiting you, I had learned that I got to tell you more than what the job description says. Because I
yeah,
mean, you read them. They're
like,
almost all the
yeah.
same.
Self-explanatory. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. So one thing that other candidates have mentioned before was talking about the culture of the company. And
Hmm.
I know when I recruited you, I really didn't talk a whole lot about what it was to work at Lowe's or the team you're going to work with. I kind of focused on the position.
Hmm.
So, what do you think? What do you think of the culture that you work in now?
It's I've noticed that it's very family oriented, and
Hmm.
we do work a lot with the community, and
Hmm.
that's something that I know it sounds kind of cliche, but I find it to be a blessing. We get to help others, and nonetheless, we get to help people live where they live. How much better can that get? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and I like that you said that because it's one thing that I do better now is sharing what we do outside of just the sales and retail part.
Yes, we do a lot of volunteering, a lot of hands-on work, and no, we don't ask for donations. We don't ask for money. It's nothing like that. It's just to show and to set a good example for our company that we are people and we do care of about other people's situations, and we just want to benefit everybody and just help.
Yeah, yeah, and I completely agree with that. And I think in the future, I'm definitely going to use that more of just saying, yes, here's what we do, here's the position, and the stuff that I
Yeah, I
have
would
to
think that
share.
I think that does needs to be shown as well that we're not just a company, we're not just a business. We do other things as well.
Yeah, and I think those other things are kind of would help with some of my recruiting, getting people
Yeah.
who we enjoy, someone who enjoys volunteering and want to go to a company that does that and pays their employees to go ahead and do that. So that's great. So moving on, what was the best part of being a candidate to come into this company? What was the best part? And this can be either during the process or something maybe I did or something that, happened during the interview, just anything along those lines.
Oh my God. There was just there's so much, but I think during the process, the best part was not only being offered the position, but I feel like it's been along the way, just being able to help people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's being able to make a change in their home, making sure that they're going to love where they live and that they're going to be enjoying it for the long run.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was the worst part of your experience with me as a recruiter? What was the
I
worst
thought you were
thing?
a catfish.
I know. I figured you would say. I
I
figured.
thought
I
you were a
figured that's.
catfish. I thought you were fake. I didn't know. Oh my God, that was scary.
Yeah, and I have to say, even up to our conversation starting today, I still haven't changed my Facebook profile. So after this conversation, next week, that's going to be my focus. I'm going to update it, make it a little bit more
Realistic.
realistic. Yeah, that's perfect word because that's one thing we try to share is this authenticity and transparency that you're talking to a human and not just
A computer.
a computer. And see, and that's what you mentioned that today tells me that hey, I need to work better on that,
Yeah.
especially on Facebook.
Yes. And I didn't know if it was just a me thing or just because I get paranoid in general, but it's just, oh my God. I guess it's with me being more of a woman. You can't always be too trusting. You know what I mean? Thank God,
Right,
like I said, you weren't a catfish. Oh my God.
right,
But
right. And I will say that even the message, I went back and looked at the messages to see what I sent you. Even what even what I sent you was
it
an
was
off.
so straightforward. It was
It
just,
was it was a
here's my number, apply, call me. And I was just like,
it was scripted. It was completely scripted. In fact, I was looking at it. I'm like, why would I? And I was given a script of what we can do to send information to candidates. And so I was like, copy, paste, put my information at the bottom. And looking back, that was probably not the best mistake because it immediately raised red flags.
especially over, I don't want to say social media, but over like an email per se. I guess that everything like that needs to be totally reworded, especially if somebody was to read it looking in, they would think something completely different.
Right, right. Which is what happened with you. I mean, it was too. I guess I can say there was no voice, no personality. I mean, it was just
Yes.
very. It was very, like you said, it was very dry. It was just
To the,
here's the position, here's how to apply. If you have any questions, call me at this contact information.
I remember calling you and I was scared. I was like, oh my God. Like for all I know, this like you know what I mean? Like he probably doesn't even work for the company. What am I doing? But my thing was, well, I can change my number after.
Yeah, wouldn't that be horrible though? Wouldn't that be horrible?
That would have
So,
been horrible.
so outside of the Facebook and messaging you said I should change my messaging, how I inbox somebody, and even how I set up my profile to make it a little bit more authentic and realistic of me and the company I work for. What are some other things that you would say maybe that you would suggest or give me advice on during the candidate process?
I think that if you were to approach someone, regardless of if they're at their job, I know that it's something that a lot of businesses don't like, but even if you to go up to them and here's my business card, call me, at least to where they can put your name and a face together as opposed to a computer. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's always so much better to have interaction as opposed to a computer, without a doubt.
yeah, and you're very right on that because I think it was a little bit on the stalker side that I just
It
saw
was,
that I
yes.
just saw
I
you
remember
at.
you messaged me and you're like, yeah, so I happened to see you at such and call me.
Yeah,
And
yeah, it was a little bit on the stalker side. Probably not the best decision, but yeah, I think at least giving you some kind of insight, saying, "Hey, like you said, here's my business card. So that already says, I'm a real person. I'm
Yes.
gonna just say I'm gonna reach out to me, or if I find you on Facebook, it's more like, oh yeah, this is the guy who met me at whatever. So yeah, that's really good. That's a really good thing that I'm probably gonna have to work on too.
Yes.
Just a couple things so far, not too bad.
No, not at all, but yes.
So how was your interview? How was your, not the pre-screening interview, because I know that one's probably the shortest one. So that one takes like 10 minutes or so because they're just quick questions to qualify you.
Uh-huh. It was it was a long process. It really was. I think I sat there maybe an hour before the actual interview. That was the only thing that I remember sitting there and I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, did they forget about me? But during the whole process, it really didn't take too long. I think it was mainly the waiting. But my interview and all, I felt like it went great. I was confident. I went in confident.
Hmm.
Of course, the outcome was in my favor, and I was beyond excited.
Yeah. And so on that waiting game,
I
I
think it
know,
made me anxious. I got the longer you wait, you start to get kind of anxious, and you're like, oh my God.
yeah, yeah. And I know we talked earlier and I mentioned that, at initially I was like, I don't even, did I do your interview? And you had to remind me that yes, I did do your
Yeah, you
interview.
did.
And so I went back and I had to go through the interview and look through it to see. I was like, oh yeah, here's some of my notes about you and everything. But I also put on there that even once your interview started, you were in there for like almost an hour for the actual interview. So not only were you waiting, yeah, not
That's
only,
right. I remember I was there for like 2.5 hours. Oh my.
yeah, yeah. So not only were you waiting for an hour, the interview start time and end time was almost another hour.
Is that how long it normally is, or is it just because we got going?
It depends. Usually for those positions, it can be depending on how much the candidate will talk.
Uh-huh.
But I think an hour is
Then
excessive.
again, too, I think it's because I'm just that talkative. I was making everybody laugh.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And even on my notes, there was usually, if I'll admit that sometimes I'll put notes like,
Mm.
you know, this one talks a lot. It's not the best thing, but I do put, just so I can recall when I finish all my interviews. Oh yeah, I remember this, but I didn't put anything like that on there. So I don't know if it was just because it was a good conversation going on, or the fact that,
It was a lot, of course, as far as the job description, but of course, it was about me as an individual. Like, what was my personality? What was my characteristics? What brought me over here to Texas? I felt
mhm,
like it was more involved. It made me feel more of, I guess, a team member per se, instead of just a candidate. I felt like it was important to them. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
let's get it over with, going about your day type thing.
right. That's good. That's good because not everyone can say that, to be
Yes.
to be honest. So, and one thing I will mention is that looking back over your interview, there was one question that the company designed to be a um, role playing type question, where we talk about, I'm looking for a product in this department.
Yes, a washer and dryer.
Yeah, so for you, it'd be a washer and dryer. I'm looking for a washer and dryer in this department. Um,
I remember the first thing I asked, what size is your bed?
exactly, exactly. And so that was one of those things where, like, most candidates don't do it as a conversation. They start giving us a story about in the past, here's what they've done to sell a product. You're one of the first candidates who were like, hey, I'm ready to role play. And you jumped right in that seat, and it threw us off guard because we weren't used to that. So we were just like, okay, let us figure out how to role play. Because I mean,
You
I
got so
clearly
used to
remember
just
that.
being told a storybook.
Exactly. Someone just told us a story, and you were one of the first ones who got into that role and said, "Hey, here's what I would do." And you treated us. You asked us questions as if we were a customer. You expanded on things. You said, "Okay, well, like you said, what size is your bed?" It threw us off, and we answered it. But then there was a purpose to why you answered that question.
Exactly.
So that's compliment on a huge compliment, because I have to say I have yet we still have use that same interview guide, and I've yet to have that happen again. Even though it's set up as a role playing question, I've yet to have another candidate come in and say the same thing you did, to actually go into that role playing section.
Yes. Just kidding.
Yeah, no, really, you should you take that one. Okay, so once you finish the interview, there is a waiting time period for all the stuff we have to do, background checks, drug tests, and everything like that. How do you remember that process? Was it
Yes.
short, long?
It was, I felt like that one was long as well. I think I waited like a week and a half,
Hmm.
until finally I was like, you know what? I'm calling him again. Where's his phone number?
Yeah,
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 I do admit that one was actually pretty long. A week and
yeah.
a half to 2 weeks. That's pretty long.
Right. And I agree, just not giving you any kind of update. Even though we know that, background checks usually take a week,
Hmm.
5 days, 5 business days is about our average. Um, but to not give you any kind of
Yes.
update, just say, hey, just let you know we haven't forgot about you. We're
Yes.
still
That
waiting on that background check.
that needs to be a must, without a doubt.
Yeah, definitely. And then even after, once we got that information back, we call and give you that formal job offer where we discuss your pay rate and your start date. Once you got that call, did you start pretty soon after that, or was there still somewhat of a
No,
delay in that too?
not at all. Once I was called, I remember I went in like a day or two after. But after
Okay.
that, it was, yeah, that was it. I was ready.
Yeah, you were ready.
I was ready. Got tired of being at home.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm
Oh
sure.
my God, yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's great. So usually these are about 30 minutes long. So I'm going to kind of wrap up and kind of just kind of go over what we talked about. So for you, it sounds like the main thing that some of the things I need to work on as a recruiter is, first of all, work on my Facebook profile.
Don't come
Really,
across as a catfish and don't
don't
read my
come across
script.
as absolutely don't come across as a catfish. And then I need to work on the communication, just keeping candidates
Up
updated
to
on,
date, yes.
and then finally just that waiting period, whether it was waiting for after the application to get the interview, waiting during the interview, and that wait time after the interview, just to get some kind of update. Does that sound about right?
Yes.
All right. Well, so for everyone that's watching the replay, I want to thank y'all all for watching. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me over on Twitter. And Sarah's Twitter handle is up there as well. Today is her first day on Twitter.
Oh my God,
So,
yeah. I don't mess with Twitter, sorry.
so feel free to follow her on Blabber on Twitter. And I'm sure I'll convince her to check it every once in a while if you have any follow-up questions. Sarah, I want to thank you again for being here today.
You're welcome.
And like I always say, we are recruiters. This is the Recruiting Roundtable where candidates and recruiters come together. And always remember that we can do better.